Well, hello. We are live. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I'm your host, Lauren Lepre. Please give us a like, subscribe, comment, and share. We're available on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and any other outlet you could think of. And this week, we got a really cool guest here. We have got someone that we all know from movies. Particularly one particular day of the year, we definitely know him by. This guy starred in movies like Kitco, the movie I really love a lot called The Toy with the great Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason. And there might be one movie you guys definitely will know him from that takes place. We can watch it 24 hours a day if we want on Christmas Day, called The Christmas Story. So Scotty Schwartz, welcome to the show.
Thank you. You're above average. I don't agree with that average thing.
Thank you so much, sir. But so I just want to do a run through your history here. One of the things I like to know right offhand, like, how did you even get into acting?
I was attending a movie club with my dad. We lived in New Jersey. We would go into New York every Saturday. And after a couple of years, I started going there. I was like 5.5 and it was like 8. And one of the guys there was producing a commercial. And just out of nowhere said, "Hey, I'm doing this. I think you'd be really good at it." And, okay. And the first commercial I ever did was Yoo-Hoo chocolate drink with Yogi Berra down in Miami Beach for a couple of days. And on the way back on the plane, he's like, "Listen, you're great. The camera loves you. You got to keep doing it." Okay. And I talked to a casting director, and next thing you know, got an agent, and off we went.
Wow. So your first gig was with the great Yogi Berra.
Great Yogi Berra. March 28th, 29th, 30th of 1977.
I'd say not a bad start, my friend. Good.
Yeah.
So what were you doing? Just like some light TV stuff before you actually started getting into film?
Light TV stuff? I did over 100 commercials. I did off-Broadway. I did Broadway.
So that was your stepping stone into the film industry?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's just kind of how it went. I mean, there are people that just step off the curb and end up in movies, and that wasn't me. I just started the way that they started me.
Awesome. And then what was the first thing that you landed? Was it The Toy?
Movie-wise?
Movie-wise. Was that your big breakout role?
Movie-wise was The Toy.
Awesome. So, like, how was that? I'm sure a million kids were going out for that as well, right?
Everybody was going up for it, and it's, it's a process that I have the one side and the other 9,999 kids have the other side of the coin, you start off with what they call a cattle call. There's 400 or 500 kids in a room. You go in, they take a picture of you, you give them your picture and your resume, and okay, thanks for coming in. That's that. Then they pick a bunch of kids, and then they go to the next one. And then by the third one, you're reading something, by audition 5, then you start reading with somebody else, and you're seen doing some scenes. By the 7th audition, it was, what they call a screen test, but really wasn't. It was just a videotape, whatever. Then like the 9th audition was all right, we're going to California, and we got to go do this thing. You got to do the screen test in LA at the Burbank studios with 100 people there. And, it's like being on a movie set, basically. You really are.
Because of your age, did they at all want you to actually work directly with like a reading with Richard Pryor ahead of time? Or was that all casting directors?
No. Okay. No, it's personality. When they get to a certain point, it becomes personality. I mean, the way that I have sort of thought about it and broken it down over the years, the whys, the how comes, all that stuff. The last 2 kids that were up for it, actor kids, there was a third kid who was the winner of the Toys R Us Jackie Gleason lookalike contest.
Okay.
Well, he wasn't an actor. Couldn't, that was not his, not for him.
Okay.
The other kid who screen tested was Henry Thomas,
Oh.
who had done E.T.
Uh-huh.
Now, he and I are about as far from performance-wise actors as you could possibly get. He's a very serious actor.
Yes.
He's a very well put together actor. You know, I used to call him Al Pacino of the kids. You know, he's got the, you know, the very serious thing.
I always think the guy had like a glow of like almost Keanu Reeves, like he's this deep guy.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And I'm the exact opposite. I'm the loose cannon. I'm the wild card. Just wind me up and I'm gonna go. So we get to the point of I go out to California, I'm doing the screen test. And I there's only one way to explain it. You know, the movie Airplane really helped me get the movie The Toy.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a fanatic. Love Airplane, love everything about it, you know. And I knew every dialogue, the whole thing. And I'm supposed to be doing the screen test with Richard Pryor. Well, he got stuck in Atlanta, divorce number 5, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So they tell me you're going to be working with another black actor. Okay. And of course, I was pretty pissed because I didn't. If you don't get it, then I don't meet Richard Pryor, and this sucks. Okay.
Yep.
And a guy comes, he knocks on the door. How you doing? My name's Norman. Blah blah blah. Let's go talk. We'll get a little camaraderie going. Okay. We started talking. We're walking around, and I said, I got to tell you, you look really familiar. He said, well, I did this. Nope, that's not it. I did this. Nope, nope. He kept winding off things. He said, well, I did this comedy a couple of years ago. I don't know if you saw it or not. Airplane. Well, that was it. He was the thin jive guy.
Ow. Okay. Cool.
So the minute he said it, that's it wind up toy. Here we go. And I started doing the dialogue and the jive talk, and we were going back and forth. And he goes, how do you know this? And I said, I love it. It's one of my favorites. That whatever. So we got on the set, and he told the producer director, I don't know where you got this kid, but if you're looking for a kid that can riff and play off of Richard, this is your guy.
Okay.
So part of my audition, I ended up doing in jive talk, just whatever, telling dirty jokes. I mean, it was hysterical. And you leave, and I left there. It was, like the 21st of December, something like that. So all through the holidays, nobody works, and I'm sweating it. And it's literally the day before I'm supposed to go back to school after the new year. And I got the phone call. I'd pretty much gotten myself sick because I wanted this thing, And then they called me and I got it. And a couple of weeks later, I was in California doing wardrobe fitting.
That's awesome. What was your first, like the aura of Richard Pryor? Were you too young to understand who, like, exactly?
Oh, no. Who it was? No, I was old enough, and my family never worried about language.
Okay.
My dad's like, we don't care what you say.
You are a Jersey kid.
don't hurt nobody. Don't do nothing stupid. We don't really care what you say. Now I would never go up to my dad and say F you. That was never going to happen because he, beat the shit out of me. But
yeah.
Beside the point. But no, I knew who Richard was. I knew who Gleason was. I was a bigger fan of Gleason going in than I was of Pryor, but I was fans of both of them. But Gleason, because I loved Smoking the Bandit and The Hustler and The Honeymooners, he was way up here.
When you met Richard, was he still fighting? No, or was he fighting his demons, or was he kind of back to normal?
No, it was after. This is the first really major film he does after, he burned himself up.
Okay.
And I was playing on the pinball machine in the director's office, and he goes, Scott, you got to stop that for a second. There's somebody here wants to say hello to you. And I turned around, and there's Richard Pryor. And he says, hi, Scotty, how you doing? I said, hi, Mr. Pryor, how are you? He says, oh, no, never do that. Dick, Richard, I don't care. Just never call me Mr. Pryor. That's my father.
Okay.
And that's where we started. And, you get to talking, and it's the guy from Peoria, Illinois that grew up in a whorehouse and a Jewish kid from Jersey. What do you have in common? Old movies.
And I think his father was a pimp, I believe, right? So
his mom ran the whorehouse.
Yeah. So,
But we both loved old movies and old Westerns and serials and all that kind of stuff. So
I
common ground.
Obviously, you're being a kid and he being a full adult. I mean, did you guys gel like immediately? That's great.
Yes. He had no filter.
Yeah.
This was not a PC time.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you try and explain to people today that they would have arrested him 400 times in 4 months for the stuff that he said to me, the shenanigans he pulled, the things that he did. Every other day, they would have been arresting him for something, telling me about, having sex with this person, they were doing this with this. And of course, 80% of what he's saying, I don't even know what it was. I'm pre-puberty. I'm 13, 14, nothing. But there's no filter. So it wasn't, I wasn't treated like a kid because I didn't act like a kid.
Uh-huh.
I was very mature for my age. I grew up around adults, being in the movie club. It's what I loved. And so when I get on the sets in 100 commercials in Broadway and off Broadway, I'm just one of the gang.
Mm-hmm.
And I can talk it, not like him, different words would come out of my mouth than out of his mouth, but it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was he like, was he any trouble? Or was he complete? I mean trouble. Like, was he joking so much sometimes the sets got slowed down, or did he keep everyone upbeat? And yeah, you got through the day, like you got everything banged out that you were supposed to.
The way I say it, we weren't making Maltese Falcon. We're not making Gladiator. We're making a comedy, fun movie. So everybody kept fun on the set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's one example. There's a scene in The Toy where we're at the dining table and Gleason is on one side and the woman that played Fancy Bates is on the other, and Pryor and I are across from each other. The whole day, they're having fun with her boobs. The whole day. I'm talking even at lunch, Richard, hey, what are you
we can't do anymore. Yes.
So they had me laughing all day long. So the last thing they wanted to do was a shot of me looking at Fancy Bates, Teresa, the woman, Gleason's wife. And the line is fancy because she's talking about her boob job and propellers and all this, that she got big boobs. And the line is, what did your boobs look like before? Well, I can do that now without a smile on my face. But after 9 hours of Gleason and Pryor talking about her boobs, I couldn't hold it straight. I couldn't hold it. So they ended up doing it over the shoulder on the side, and having Richard here. And when I say, what did your boobs look like before? I kind of smiled and Richard spits the water out, whatever. I couldn't do it without laughing because, I mean, it was all day long. At one point, Gleason is sitting to my left and he looks across the way. He goes, honey, your left is more than your right. And she's like, what? Your left is more than your right. So, of course, naturally, you're sitting in between them. Mm-hmm. So I look at her. Her left boob had come right out of the dress. So he's going, your left is more than your right there, And she looks at, oh, excuse me, and she tucks it away or whatever. So, I mean, and nobody says nothing. Oh, my God, the kid's going to need therapy and the safe zone. No, none of this bullshit. I just, you just went with it.
Uh-huh.
But it took me, probably a good half an hour to do it, something that should have taken 5 minutes because I could not keep a straight face because of Richard.
As far as script wise, was that written by Richard or was no at all?
No, we had a script writer, but the actual script is maybe 25% of what's on the film.
That was going to be my next question. I kind of figured Richard knew how to adjust things, especially if he saw something, right?
Oh, Richard did it. Well, Gleason, first of all, Gleason didn't rehearse, and whatever he was, it's what it was. He would just say whatever comes natural. They didn't care that there was a script.
Yeah. Well, how was Gleason as a overall like to you? How was it like? Like, what was his aura like? Because that's two different worlds, Richard Pryor, and then there's Gleason.
Yeah. Gleason was older, demanded respect, commanded respect. I mean, that was him. You called him Mr. Gleason or Great One. Great One, we need you, because that was his nickname, the Great One. Nobody called him Jackie. There was, from what I remember, there was a wardrobe guy, I believe, that called him Jackie. And the next day, the guy was gone.
Wow.
I mean, literally, that was it. I was a fan. Now, again, I'm kind of giving you the picture. I'm 4'5". I weigh 52 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
and I can do Sheriff Buford T. Justice as good as him.
Mm-hmm.
So, impersonation is the highest form of flattery. You do that and it's in. So I did. The first thing I ever said to him was one of the lines from Smokey and the Band, and he thought that I had rehearsed it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, "Oh, you got anything else?" Not knowing that I knew the whole movie.
Uh-huh.
And so I just let it fly. And he immediately went, all right, who is this kid? This little 13-year-old kid who knows me and knows my career. And we talk, and we would sit down and we would talk about vintage Hollywood. We talk about George M. Cohan in New York. And did you do this? And The Hustler. And he says, oh, you like The Hustler? I said, yeah. I said, I'd love to shoot pool, but I'm too short. He says, oh, come on, I'll show you how to do it. Come on. And he taught me how to shoot pool. So he was good to me, but he was not an overly nice man to most people.
Gotcha.
After a month, 5 weeks, we did something and I called him Pop. Now remember, you're only supposed to call him Mr. Gleason or Great One, but he's my dad in the film and we had this rapport thing. So all of a sudden I call him Dad, I call him Pop. Didn't say a word. Mm-hmm. He was all good with that.
Did Richard and him I know, because that's two different worlds, obviously. But did they get along for the most part? They didn't bump mesh heads at all.
They had a working relationship. Gotcha. There was no let's go to dinner, let's have none of that. It was on the set. You work. When it's cut, one goes to one trailer, one goes to where that was it.
Gotcha. And I'm just gonna go out and say, you probably didn't talk to Gleason much after that wrapped, right?
Oh no, I did.
Did you? Good for you.
I talked to him a couple times, and then I went down to Florida about a year before he passed and saw him.
Good for you.
And no, I have the kind of personality and that make people laugh and smile, and it's cool and wonderful, and we had a good thing, and Richard and I stayed friends. Other than about a 16-month period where he had closed up his production company, moved, and I didn't have phone numbers. Mm-hmm. There were no cell phones back then.
Yeah.
No email. Mm-hmm. So I literally moved to California, and within a month or so, I went over to the Comedy Store, and people said, "Oh, your Richard Pryor stops by, blah blah blah." So I told the guy at the door in the original room who I was, and said, "Hey, if Richard comes in, can you let me know? Here's my phone number, whatever." He said, "Sure." And it was about 10 days, 12 days later, and he called me up. He said, "All right, he's here. Come on down."
Okay. Ooh.
And so and then we picked up right where we left off. I never went home that night. I left my car in the parking lot at the Comedy Store. We went to Ben Frank's on Sunset and had something to eat about 2:30 in the morning. Then we went to his house, and then he brought me back to my car about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Crazy. That's awesome. I'm really glad you guys stayed close. He's the guy I've always, I wish I could have met him. He's
whatever you
on
could
the wall right there. I'm
whatever you could think of him as a human being, especially again to me, he was 10 times that, 100 times that. There are no words to describe how I feel about him, how much I miss him and love him. But he was my muse, my mentor, my go-to. There wasn't anything major that happened in my life that he didn't know about. And he got a kick out of it. He told me several times, yep, you're the white son I never had. Absolutely.
Cool. So then after that was it Kiko or was it a story?
Yeah, I actually shot Kidco first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
which was great. And then most people don't know Kidco, although it's a wonderful little kid movie.
Yeah.
Okay, it's nice. Everybody knows the tongue and the flagpole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did you have to actually read for A Christmas Story, or were you the hot guy coming off the toy we got no?
Bob Clark, who was the director, it wasn't a matter of the hot guy or none of that.
No.
He wanted normal kids. He just wanted normalcy. He wanted the natural thing of being a child actor, not the programmed. Gotcha. And I had just finished doing Kidco. Literally, I got home on that Sunday, and Wednesday I saw Bob.
Wow.
And went in, but the toy had opened in the theaters the week before. That literally, I got home on Sunday. 2 days earlier on Friday, the toy opened in the theaters, and 5 days later on Wednesday, I'm with Bob. Wow. And
What was he like as a human?
Terrific.
Terrific.
Yeah. He was just a wonderful. He was a big teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I describe Bob. Just a big old teddy bear. I go in. Hey, Scott, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Blah blah blah. Okay, we're talking. Okay, fine. I said, hey, is there something you want me to read? No. He says, actually, you know what? He looked at his watch. He says, listen, it's like 2:20. I missed lunch. You want to go have a hot dog? Now you're asking a 14-year-old kid in Manhattan if he wants to go have a dirty water dog.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sure. So we went downstairs. We just kept talking, yapping away. Okay. Had a hot dog, yoo-hoo. Okay, fine. We go upstairs. He says, listen, got to tell you, it was great to meet you. Thank you. You want me to read? Nope. Whatever we got, you can handle. I saw the toy. I know you can do anything. Okay. That's it. Thanks for coming. Okay.
Awesome.
Walked out. My agent's office was 7 blocks away. Walked up to my agent's office. I walked in her office. She looked at me. What did you do? Well, we talked and laughed and went and had a hot dog and okay. And I left. And she goes, well, whatever it was, you did great. You got the movie.
That's awesome.
Bob just wanted a natural, fun guy. And he knew whatever I needed to do as Flick, that I could do it because of what he had seen, with Pryor and Gleason.
That's great. So I was thinking he was going to have at least all you kids read together just to see if you gelled. But yeah, awesome.
No, I mean, he got kids from all over the place: Toronto, New York, LA. Mm-hmm. They put us together. But I mean, the fun part is that Bob wanted natural. Especially in my case. In Ralphie and Peter's case, Peter
mm-hmm.
Billingsley. He had to make sure that Peter was doing his thing because he's the star of the film.
Absolutely.
Whereas I'm the goofy sidekick. Mm-hmm. So he's like, do whatever you want. Okay. The script says Flick sticks tongue to pole. There's no dialogue. Yep. I said, Bob, what do you want me to do? Do whatever comes natural. Okay. So I did it a couple times and he goes, you know what? That's good, but give me more. Just go overboard. Mm-hmm. Okay. I went overboard a couple times. He goes, nah, you did it the right way starting out. Just go back to the way you start. Okay. And I go back to and I mean, all the stuff, all the stuff that don't leave me, come back, stuck. Oh, that's just stuff I came up with at that second. That's what 4 months of Gleason and Pryor did, to just put me on that path.
So what was on the pole, or did you just really stick your tongue and just dump hot water on it to get it free after?
No, it's a plastic pole.
Okay.
With a hole about the size of your pinky nail, and they put a tube plugged into like a vacuum.
Okay.
So if you think about just sticking your hand and going,
okay,
on a vacuum cleaner, same concept, just smaller.
Sweet. And for the most part, like, was it this because I get you're with Richard Pryor, but now you're with kids of at least of about your age.
I had a lot of fun with Richard. So it's not like you can say, hey, Peter and I had a blast. Mm-hmm. We are still friends to this day. We talked yesterday.
Great. He's a big producer now, isn't he? Is that what he is?
We text message today, and we talked yesterday. But I mean, I had fun with Pete, and we're still friends and all that. But there's the guys, and then there's Richard Pryor. And I'm not saying I didn't have fun with the boys, because I did. We had fun, just different kind of fun.
Gotcha. So
adult fun with Richard. Thank God I had not hit puberty. He'd have got me in trouble. There's no question. He'd have gotten me in trouble.
Cool. So after that movie gets released, when did you start noticing? I mean, obviously outside of the box office numbers, that like, wow, we've got a Christmas classic here. Because I got to tell you, within 4 years, I'm in elementary school and we're actually watching it like as a class, like around Christmas time. Like a videotape.
Well, that's what happened. It came out for the 3 or 4 weeks. It did well. MGM made money. Okay. Then it goes into VHS. Mm-hmm. And it sits there. And it's VHS. Okay, fine. And families and people were finding it. Family over in New York and telling their family in Oklahoma or California or Phoenix, whatever. Hey, have you seen this? No, it's really good. You got to go get it. Go to the video store and go get it. Mm-hmm. So they're running a Blockbuster or local videos, whatever. And they're getting, Christmas Story. Well, it sat there and it's what is meant to be. This is how I explain a lot of things. Just what's meant to be. Ted Turner was buying the MGM library for TBS and TNT, for more,
Content.
movies and stuff to show, more content. And there were 2 movies left. They didn't know what to do. And his secretary came over and said, "Hey, have you ever seen A Christmas Story?" Nope. She went home, got her VHS, came back the next day. I got this from somebody very high up at Turner, so I think the story is pretty accurate.
Okay.
And Ted Turner and Jane Fonda watched Christmas Story in the office. They went, "Oh, what a lovely movie." Okay. So they buy it for $250,000 as part of the package. And what are we going to do with it? And the secretary said, "Well, we did It's a Wonderful Life for a couple of years. Well, at least, the company will get its money back, make something." All right. So they start the marathon in 96. It does pretty good. Every other movie, the second year dipped and gone.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was Wizard of Oz, It's a Wonderful Life, didn't make a difference. Second year dip, gone. Christmas Story goes up. This is okay. We'll keep going with it. Let's see what happens. Third year goes up. Fourth year, by the 7th year, it was in 30 million homes. By the 10th year, it's in 50 million homes. Now we're at 25 years and it's a cash cow. I mean, Warner Brothers has said it's the most profitable film in the history of Warner Brothers based on what they paid for it.
Yeah, I'd say so. Wow. Yeah.
And I mean, people don't understand at that marathon, they're making 15 or 20 million dollars every year just from TBS.
Yep. All those commercials, because each time.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's all of that. And what we get is a smidgen of bupkis of nothing.
Sounds like music and movies. Yeah. The artist always loses.
Well, it has nothing to do with being a kid. Has nothing to do with when we did it. Nothing like that. When they did the original cable contract with the studios, with the union, however they figured this out, if you're going to show a movie more than one time in a calendar day on the same station, you only get paid for one showing.
Mm-hmm.
So when they do 24 hours and it's on 12 times, we get paid for 2 showings. I end up with about $1.60.
Awesome. So it's not even enough for the cup of coffee.
It's not even enough for the cup of coffee. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah.
You are correct.
Wow. Yeah.
But listen, it's, what is it? It's the double-edged sword. One side is that side and the other side is a marvelous and massive fan base of people who you put a smile on their face. It's like you're part of their family because you're there every holiday. You're on their television, whether it's, Renee, whoever in New York, or it's Jerry Lawler, my buddy down in Memphis, or, Cecil Fielder, who's a friend of mine, watching it in Florida. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They're watching it, and it's a holiday. So they always view kind of as like that cousin that just never stops by.
Gotcha.
Although I do stop by some of their places. Yeah,
you still keep up with the cast, the kids?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just talked to Peter the other day and did a couple of things with Zach Ward, who played Scott Farkas the bully, and him, and Yano Anaya, who played Grover Dill. We did a thing this year down in Daytona. Ian, who plays Randy, the little brother, the snowsuit, can't put my arms down. He's not that far from me. Schwartz, RD, he's about 35 minutes from me. We all know where we are.
The house that was shot at, I believe, unless I read this wrong, did someone buy it and turn it into an Airbnb?
The top part's, I believe, in a B&B of some kind, but it's a museum.
Okay. Cool. That's great. So, when you're, this is a good question for you. So you got yourself.
You sure it's a good question?
It's a very good question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
For I'm just gonna throw some names with you. So you got Scarlett Johansson, Anthony Michael Hall, Corey Haim. I'm looking at a list here. Drew Barrymore, Seth Green, Stephen Dorff, Ruza Ball. I'm just throwing names out there because you're all childhood actors. How come? What's the Hollywood process, minus if you get some sort of trouble? How come some people stay and then I don't know, do they just say after a while, we want new faces? How come You all stay relevant.
Everybody is different. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of the thing. Everybody is different. It's sort of like whatever fan base you amass. Anthony Michael Hall, good example. A high school friend of mine. We were in classes together. Okay.
He's a Jersey guy too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And we went to school. We went to school in New York at
Okay.
Professional Children's School.
Okay.
And Scarlett Johansson was actually there as well. Not when I was there, but she did actually attend the same school. Most all of us did, from Ricky Lake to Christian Slater, Malcolm Jamal Warner, whatever. The kid group. Glenn Scarpelli from One Day at a Time, Jonathan Silverman. We all ended up going to PCS. It's what your body of work and fan base becomes, because people who like you, who then become the people making stuff, will keep you working, you know, or keep doing something. You know, Anthony Michael Hall, you know, he had the John Hughes films, and he's great.
Yes.
You know, and then he does Saturday Night Live, and then kind of the career kind of goes sideways with what had happened with booze and whatever. He straightened himself out. Okay, fine. And then Dead Zone for 7 or 8 years, and then it's this, and then it's Batman. And so, I mean, you have to have the people on the other side of the tables love and respect. And they're going, yep, he's my guy. Yep, that's my girl. So, I mean, you know, but they have to, in some way, they all know your careers of all of us, you know. It's just a matter of who picks who and who keeps who working and whatever. You know, Aaron Spelling, you know, kept so many people working. You know, all right, so you're off this show. All right, now you're on this show. And then you're off this show, or you're on that show. You know, that's what Aaron used to do. You know, he took care of the people that he loved, adored, and worked for him and did well for him. You know, there's other people that, you know, you go down a certain road and you hit that brick wall and it's all over.
Yeah.
You know?
When you say that, like, you know, the late Corey Haim and stuff, like, was it just because his problem, they just kind of knew he was a risky guy to try to bring back?
But he was working.
Yeah.
He was working all during that time. And I mean, for the most part, he was sober. He did some pot, you know, whatever. I guess the last couple of years, you know, whatever. But he kept working. He wasn't doing big things, but he was working.
I followed him, brother. He was one of my favorite actors of all time. Roller Boys, Fast Getaway, Dream Machine, A Double O Kid. I remember he never stopped, but
yeah, you know, but I mean, he was like my little brother. I worked with him, you know, in 86, 85, whatever it was, in The Time to Live with Liza Minnelli. We were brothers in the TV movie, and we became friends. And then I moved to California, and he was coming out right after me. And we ended up in the same apartment building so we could get a cheaper rent. I mean, literally, he was in the apartment right above me. He was in a penthouse, and I was on the 4th floor. It was like, okay. He kept going the whole time. You know, there were little times, you know, when he wasn't, and, you know, he had his own issues and problems and whatever. And he'd call me up, and then he'd end up at my place for 2 weeks, like whatever. You know, but his thing, you know, I mean, what he did had no bearing on his passing. You know, walking pneumonia.
Yeah.
That's the 2010 thing. Walking pneumonia.
Right? Was he playing Frisbee? I think he was playing Frisbee in the rain with his mom, and they think that may have caused it.
No, he just wasn't. It was already there. It was building up fluid in his lungs. And, you know, that was in the morning. And then by 11 o'clock at night, he just didn't feel good. And his mom and he were talking, and he got up to go to the bathroom and collapsed, and she called, and within, you know, whatever it was, 20 minutes, it was all over.
His death, I mean, minus that he's gone. I always hate when someone says, oh, he drug overdose. I'm like, no, he didn't. I was like, stop saying that. That's a terrible way to, like, because that's not how he went.
Listen, you have what happened, and then you have bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, you have what people may have heard in the media or somewhere else that wasn't confirmed, and that's not what happened.
They judged him on his demons, but like, the demon didn't kill him.
But at the same time, they didn't judge Brittany Murphy because she didn't have the track record Corey had. And Brittany Murphy's husband dies 8 months later of the same thing. You know, this walking pneumonia, you know, which just very strange, but it like came and went. It affected X number of people in like 2010, beginning of 11, and then it just disappeared. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, but Haim was a sweetheart, and I miss him. He was a little bro, and you know, I still talk to his mom. Her and I have a great relationship, and you know, she's wonderful, and you know, she's a mom who lost a son. You know, you know, and he was a good dude, man. He really was a good dude.
I heard somewhere, maybe it's you could confirm it now. Were you supposed to be the third guy in License to Drive?
Yep. Yep.
What happened there? The other Corey?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm in Haim's apartment right above me. I need a whole bunch of scripts there, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I might do this one. I might do this and that." And I started pulling scripts. He goes, "Yeah, that's the one. I kind of like that. It's a buddy thing and whatever." So I read through the script, and I see there's a third wheel, and I said, "Hey, this would be hysterical. Me, you, and Feldman. Let's go." All right. I'll tell him. Let's go. All right. So he went in, and it was him and Feldman and the producers and whatever, and the casting people and everything. And he said to them, "Listen, for the friend, you know, Scotty Schwartz." And Feldman, for whatever the reason, nope. If he's doing it, I'm not doing it. Forget that.
Wow.
Okay. Now, the thing is Haim never told me that.
Oh.
A girl who worked for the casting agent was there. Little beknownst to none of them, her and I dated. So she called me and told me what he said. So then I, you know, a ways later, after that all happened, you know, I told Haim, by the way, you know, I know this went down, you know, and he said, "How did you know that?" And I told him, you know, but it was a ways down the road, you know.
Well, before this, I mean, did you already know Corey Feldman?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
please.
This
we could be here all night.
Yeah.
You opened up can of worms, you know, that is so massive. It's, you know, Miami Beach size, you know. You know.
Gotcha. So what you also had helped out you helped out the WWE. How did that even
Well, I was free help for the WWF from September of 85 to January of 87.
Okay.
I was at an audition for the movie The Money Pit with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long.
Yep.
And when I walked in the audition, on the other side of the room was Big John Studd.
Wow.
And he was auditioning for one of the movers.
Okay.
And my audition time was before his. I went into the audition, come out, my dad's sitting next to him. And he says, "Scott, this is John. John, this is Scott." And he's like, "Scott, man, I'm a big fan of your movie. I love the toy, man." Well, that was it, you know. And this was, you know, a heel bad guy. He hurts people. He was a pussycat. He was a big teddy bear guy.
Yeah, purse. Yeah.
We ended up driving him down to Madison Square Garden that day, and gave me his home number. No cell phones back then, you know. And he's like, "Hey, you want to come to Meadowlands? You want to come to the Spectrum? You let me know." Okay. So I called him up and said, "I want to come to Meadowlands." Okay. So he got me in and then brought me in the back to meet the boys. And the next is, "Hey, why don't you come to this one? Hey, why don't you come to that one?" So it took me like literally a week, a couple of shows. And they're like, "Hey, you want to help out? Yeah, you go over to see Mark and do something with the ring." And then it's, "Hey, Scotty, go get hot dogs. Here's money. Go get hot dogs and beers." And Scotty, I became, there was a guy named Rene Goulet, who was a Frenchman, and he nicknamed me Mr. Free because I was free help. They didn't pay me nothing, and I helped out all the time.
He sounded like a chef. That guy you just said. That's a perfect chef
Mr.
name.
Free.
Yeah.
Rene Goulet, the Frenchman. So I was helping with the ring. Then the guys are like, "Hey, what time are you getting in? Are you going to Richmond?" "Yeah." "What time are you getting in?" "I don't know, 2:15. "Great. Rent a car, come go. So we pick us up at American, pick us up at Delta, pick us up at United." So then I started driving them back and forth. And so I did that. And the next thing you know, I was in the middle of all kinds of stuff. And it was great, man. I mean, you know, going to dinners with Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper and Beefcake and you know, Randy Savage and Elizabeth, and, you know, that whole time frame, you know, Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik, and, you know, all
was Randy Savage like a kind of sheltered away from the boys, like paranoid, the way to make him out to be?
A little bit, but it's not exactly what they say. I mean, you know, him and Miss Elizabeth would always get a room at the end of the hall. Whatever it was, they would always have the last dressing room. The boys were scared of Randy. There was no doubt.
Mhm.
Nobody would talk to her. Nobody would just go up and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" Forget that. None of that stuff happened, because they knew Randy would be pissed. I get introduced to them. I'm a child actor. Now I'm 17 going,
Mhm.
whatever. But I'm still a kid actor. I'm not one of the boys. So I become friends with Randy and Liz because there was no threat.
Mm.
I'm not trying to make a play for Miss Elizabeth. There was none of that. So basically, I became little brother. Randy would call me at home in New Jersey. Scotty, what's going on, buddy? Oh, whatever. You coming tomorrow? Yeah. What time? What time you landing? 3:00. Delta? Yeah. Okay, I'll pick you up. Those are the conversations we had, and we went to dinners and it was great because I gave Miss Elizabeth hugs. I kissed her on the cheek. She kissed me on the cheek. I'll see you soon. All that. And the boys would tell me, dude, he's going to wallop your ass one night. He's going to put you in a wall. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, that's not the relationship we have. We're friends. They're like, okay, good luck.
Mm.
And come to find out many, many years later that of how Randy thought of me. He left me alone with Miss Elizabeth several times, 4 or 5 times, 6 times, whatever it was. I don't remember. But I was asked, were you ever alone with him? I said, yeah. And he's like, exactly. There were 3 people in the company that Randy trusted with Miss Elizabeth. Vince McMahon, his brother Lanny, and me. And that was it. There
Wow.
was nobody else he trusted.
Wow. Did you actually see like when he'd be going over his matches, like because I just knew the guy was really about his performance and all that, but like the intensity and all that
No, I wasn't in the locker room at all. That
Oh,
wasn't my place.
okay.
I stayed in the green room. I was down by ringside. I'd be in the hallway. But no, locker room was not my place because I wasn't
One of the
an
boys.
athlete. I wasn't one of the entertainers, one of the boys. I was just helping out,
Gotcha.
and
And
I respected their space.
absolutely. So you said to about 87, was it this
I
run?
moved to California.
Okay.
Once I came out to California, they had very, very few matches out here. I went to one. In
Mm.
like 91 or 92, Brutus called me and got me to go down to San Diego, and I got to hang out with the gang and see Vince and see everybody, and then I was gone for, my God, 15 years, 14 years, whatever the hell it was, and at the Chiller Theater show
Yep.
in Parsippany, New Jersey, that happens in October and April every year or whatever. So the Chiller show, Jerry Lawler was there. And of course, I know who he is, of course. And his girlfriend at the time came over, said, you have to come over and see Jerry. He's a monster Christmas Story fan. You have to come over. And I said, okay. I didn't even know he was talking about Jerry Lawler. She just said Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she walked me over and there's Jerry Lawler. How you doing? We started chit chatting. She's like, oh, Christmas Story. Oh my, he lost it. He became 12. He's a mega fan, and what's great is somebody as much of an icon and a legend as Jerry is, he doesn't have that asshole ego. He's a person.
Yep.
We get to chit-chatting within a couple of minutes. I mentioned a couple of names of the guys that I worked with back in the day, and he goes, well, they're still there. Oh my God. And then they're friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, he dragged me back in for a little while. I was going to matches and stuff, and got to see the boys, got to see some of the old guys, some of the new guys,
Flipping back to when you're the early 80s and you're the it guy, I know Hollywood's changed since then. Was the workload that you had to go through, tell me, was it just ridiculous or were they looking out for you? Like,
well, I mean, listen, compared to today, what I did was nothing.
okay.
There was no internet. There was no social media. There was no satellites. There wasn't the 900 stations. When you do a project now, you literally have to do 150 or 200 interviews of one form or another, because that's what PR is all about. You got to get it out there. You got to get it out there. I did the movies and it was like, oh, you're going to talk to this newspaper today. And then 2 days later, you'll talk to this one and you'll go on AM New York, or you go on Good Morning America, or you go on the Today Show or whatever it is. But it wasn't, piled up the way that they have to do it today, because they have this small window. You got that small window of basically a week to 10 days before and a week after it opens. There's your space. You know, they America's Sweethearts with Julia Roberts and John Cusack.
Okay.
If you've never seen it, watch it. It's pretty much what goes on. They play what's her name? Catherine Zeta-Jones and John Cusack play romantic. They play husband and wife, whatever they get anywhere, but they play movie stars, and they have to sit in a hotel room, and people come in and come out, come in and come out, come in and come out, come in and come out. That's the junkets. That's what they do. You know, and I didn't have that. You know,
wow.
Here and there, you do this, so you do that, and even doing the few things I did was great. I ended up on Regis and Kathy Lee without Regis and Kathy Lee. They were in Atlantic City doing their show on that Friday. And I had Ira Joe Fisher and a woman. I couldn't tell you who it was. Don't even remember. But the other guest on the show was Joe Namath.
Not a bad time.
I got to hang in the green room with Joe Namath, and we chit-chatted, and he had seen the movie. Okay, great. And here we go. And we're, buddies. And then he was at an opening as a place back that used to be back east called The Wiz, an electronics place. And he was one of their spokesmen. So I find out he's in my hometown where I grew up, and I'm there. I took one of my buddies, come out, let's go see Joe, and the line was 500 deep, 700 deep. I could care less. I walked in the door to guy's security. Can I help you? No, not really, but it's who I am. I'm going to see Joe. And he walked me over, and I said, what's going on, big guy? And I mean, he signed, he looked over. Oh my God, what are you doing here? He gives me a hug, and the guy's like, he knows him. It's okay. So I made a friendship out of doing that. It was great.
I love it. I dig it. So was the workload though, like what was the average daytime back in those early 80s for when you were doing those movies?
Well, I didn't shoot in California. I shot everywhere else. I shot The Toy in Louisiana, Kidco in Arizona, and Christmas Stories in Ohio and Canada. Easiest workload, by far really is Christmas Story, because I worked 1 day a week for 6 weeks. The other 6 days I didn't work. It was 3 days for school. The Toy was probably most of the time 10-hour days, 8 to 10-hour days. Some days overtime, some days not. A couple times, you get into 11 hours. I find whatever. Kidco was really the one that I was working. I mean, I was doing 12, 14-hour days, 5, 6 days straight. And then, have a day off. And then the next day I'd only be on the set for 9 hours. And then the next day I'd be on the set for 11 hours.
When you hear about like a lot of the childhood actors that lose their mind about Hollywood and the workload and all that, do you kind of look at it a different way? Like, look, work is work. And at the same time, you think they overdo it sometimes? Do you see a balance anywhere?
The balance is in your upbringing. That's really where it comes from. You have to understand what a day's work consists of, and most kids don't. That's not how they're programmed. What are we programmed? We get up, we go to school, we leave at 7 o'clock in the morning, we're home by 2:30. Okay, great. That's pretty much your day, including gym and study and lunch.
Yes.
Movie set, it's work. You're a professional. You have to be explained that this is what your job is. If you don't want to do it, stay home. If you're unhappy, stay home. That's kind of the way I've told kids, listen, do you love it? Yeah, good. Then understand you got to work hard. That's what this is. It's not, you show up, ha, 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 and they give you the brass ring. And it doesn't work like that. You have to understand that the work has to get done first. You have to walk on that set. You have to be prepared, be professional. And I don't care if you're 6, 8, 10, 12, don't matter. The studio's got $150,000 or $200,000 a day rolling the camera. That's on your behind to be prepared. We've changed the ways we talk to kids, the way we bring kids up. My generation, this is a cakewalk. What they're doing now. Kids. Oh, I need a safe space. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I know. I hate the soft world. I do. Yeah.
It didn't exist in my day. This is what you're supposed to do. And if somebody gets mad at you and yells at you, it's not they're bullying you. No, you're not doing your job right.
You're burning.
They're pissed off.
Yeah.
They're pissed off. And, to say, oh, well, you're kind of mistreating the child. No, I'm not mistreating the child. I'm trying to tell the kid, this is what I expect of him. This is why we hired you. This is the job you have to do. I don't want to hear bullshit. You know, I don't have time for that. You know, there's no director on no set that wants to hear bullshit. You know, in California, I mean, they coddle the hell out of them. You know, they got to be in school for 3 hours. They get half an hour in the morning breakfast. Then they get a lunch break. They can only be on the set for 9 hours. You know, you really have made it difficult, or they've made it difficult for kids to be on sets and be any kind of a major character in any show, you know, that shoots here in LA. You know, the only thing that they do is as soon as that kid turns whatever it is, 15 and a half or 16, they get him emancipated, which takes them out of school, out of the things that they need to know to learn to become an adult. They take them away from that, put them on a set, expecting them to not only do their job, but they don't teach them what they need to know about the real world. You know, being on a movie set, while it is the real world and it's work, it's not the real world. It's not 9 to 5, whether it's McDonald's, Microsoft, Burger King, Yahoo, whatever. You know, the car dealership, 7-Eleven. It's not the same. There's nobody at, you know, any of your jobs you're ever going to have going, oh, excuse me, do you need a cup of coffee? Can I get you a bagel? No, that doesn't happen. You know, when I did my stuff, I didn't want to be coddled. I wasn't programmed that way. So, I mean, I started doing the toy and the one of the PAs early on, you know, if there's anything you need, you let me know. I said, you know what? I'm pretty self-sufficient. I can get anything. Okay.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I've done Broadway.
Yeah.
You know, so for months I'm doing rehearsals. There's nobody there. There's no PAs there. You want a cup of coffee? Go get a cup of coffee. You want drink? You want water, a Pepsi, whatever it is, orange? Go get it. So I get on the movie set, and I mean, I get out of the car in the morning, go over to catering, get myself a bagel and cream cheese, sometimes coffee, sometimes orange juice, go in the makeup chair. Nobody had to tell me what to do. I knew what to do and how to do it. Kids today are just not the same. They're coddled.
They're coddled too much. And I think, like, even in the childhood actors especially, I think between them being their butts being kissed so much, like, yeah, every take, you did great, you're doing great, oh, you're doing wonderful. You never know if they're like doing drugs off to the side. They're not noticing, and they're kind of saying, you're still doing great, you're getting away with stuff. I just wonder when they go out in the real world and the first no they hear,
of course,
they don't know how to process it. They lose their mind. They're on TMZ.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's the first no, or it's the first word of criticism.
Yes.
You know, they don't know how to handle it because it's not explained to them. And it's a horrible, horrible thing.
Daily, they're being told they're amazing. So
yeah, I mean, I
telling them that, and then here comes one person with a reality check.
Listen, I spent 2 years as the president of an organization called A Minor Consideration. You can find them at aminorconsideration.org. Okay, it's for child labor laws. It's also to help actors, dancers, singers, musicians, whatever, with their issues, problems, whatever. The studio should have called them years ago and said, hey, send somebody over to the set as an introduction, explain what you do, you know, to the child actors on this set, that if something, or that they have a question, they have somebody to call. They have somebody to fall back on. You know, if they feel, you know, like they're being overused or whatever it is, they have somebody to call. Right now they have nobody. And the studios haven't done that. You know, they want kids and parents to stay dumb, you know, to some degree.
Yeah.
You know, I want to educate. You know, I've spent, you know, March is going to be 45 years, man. Wow. You know, so I want to educate kids, kind of teach kids and show kids, hey, listen, you know, I understand you're on a series right now and you're making $300,000 a week. However, the gravy train is going to end. And when it does end, what are you going to do? Tell me what you're going to do.
And there's nothing really in order besides if they have a good family or someone looking out, like, yo, when you get these funds, you know, let's take half of this or 3/4 of it, or, you know, put it aside, because
listen, you know,
it's just so sad when I see, like, I tell people, you know, I'm in indie stuff myself. I always say, like, if you get something that's going, don't spend. Please just put half of that away, because you just don't know if one day you're typecasted, you do something, you're out, and you go buy a big house, you buy all these cars, and then you're not getting work. Well, the bills are coming.
There goes the house. There goes the car. Oh, of course.
Yep.
You know, I mean, listen, that is the case 99.5% of the time. Then you get the other half of the percent that they have more money than Jesus, and they couldn't spend it all if they tried, unless they really tried hard.
Yeah.
And then you want to know why they're still in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there are, you know, when I say child actors, I mean 30 and under. That literally have multi millions of dollars. And it becomes, why are you doing this at this point? Mm-hmm. You can walk away at 32, 35, 29, whatever it is. You can walk away, buy 50 acres in Montana, Idaho, New Mexico, wherever you want to go. And you can live the most glamorous, peaceful life ever. Nobody will bother you. Or you stay in the game and you get the aggravation. And you get glory, but you do get aggravation. Mm-hmm. Why? Why do you want TMZ to be running after you every day?
And I also tell the people, like, you know, they want the house in Beverly Hills. I'm like, do you know those houses and the taxes alone on that? Like, you have to always be working. And I even looked at, like, Dana White always said in UFC, like, these new fighters, they win, and they won $3 million that night, and they're out throwing fistfuls of money around. Dana's like, he's like, you gotta slow it down. He's like, I just got $3 million. He's like, no, you got 1.8. Uncle Sam's already took a cut of that, you know. And another one I always liked was right there at wrestling, Jim Ross. I always took a quote out of him. He always told the boys, it's not how much you make, it's how much you save.
Yeah, I mean, there were guys like Piper. Mm-hmm. He didn't spend $1 over what was necessary. The check went to the house. The wife got the check. Okay, fine. He got his expenses to go to the hotel. And if he could room with me at a Ramada Inn to save $20, he did it. Oh, he did it.
Yeah.
You know, we roomed. It's hysterical. But the boys don't understand. They piss a lot of it away because it's always coming. It's always coming. But that's not going to last forever. And I mean, child actors come and go. It depends on who you are, what you have to offer, who loves you, what you look like. Being a female child actress, you have more of a shot of continuing a career than a male, because sex sells.
That's absolutely. Yeah.
You know, so if you got it, you're going to sell it. Your people are going to sell it. You know, that's just how that goes. You know, and there are great looking guys too who have been able to do stuff and keep going. You know, from childhood all the way up. You know, some aren't that great looking, but most of them are. You know, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. You know? Sweet. Well, Scotty, we're about out of time here, and anything you want to say or plug or going forward?
Stay healthy, stay well. You know, have a good 2022. You know, some point down the road we will talk. I got a book coming out and other stuff going on and all that good stuff.
Is there any social media for anyone who's looking to maybe put you in a movie or get your book?
Yeah. Well, Scott Schwartz actor on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm old, man. I don't do that Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and all that shit. That's just not me, man. You know, I'm a Jersey boy. I grew up real. I keep it real. I don't bullshit. And I can't do that stuff. Just not me. I might actually have an Instagram account, but I doubt I've been on it twice in 2 years.
Yeah, man. You know yourself well, my friend. I can tell the way you speak. So if that's what makes you happy.
Yes. Thank you, Having, for the Pryor and Gene Wilder photo up there behind you. I love it.
Absolutely. Yes. That's my favorite combo, along with the Coreys. I'm not gonna lie to you, but like they were my favorite pairing in Hollywood. Those 5 films they did. I mean, I love this film. Hear No Evil, See No Evil. Yeah, they complement each other so good.
I love Silver Streak and Stir Crazy were my two. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you for stopping by, Scotty Schwartz. I'd like to thank everybody who took time to listen to this show. Please give us a like on Instagram and Facebook. Please give us a subscribe, like, and comment. We have new episodes every Monday morning at 5 a.m. So thank you again, Scott.
Peace, everybody. Stay well and healthy.
And with that, we will end the show.